Do you have a big plan?
Yes, I got a big plan. I'm going to be leaving the world soon.
No,
and
no.
going,
Before you leave,
okay.
before you leave.
That's my big plan.
No, because you're doing valuable work. Do you have a plan of how we could make civilization better, more humane?
Yes,
or,
yes.
okay.
Education. Quite simply, read and study and turn off the television, turn off all the silly nonsense of government, and it's just incredible nonsense. And start educating yourself. The United States federal government is a privately owned company. It's a corporation.
The whole government.
Of course, it's a private. It's like General Motors, Ford Motor Company, Sears.
So
it's a privately owned. But see, most people don't understand. The United States government is a corporation. It is a privately owned company.
Who owns it?
Oh, well, that's different. Now you're getting now.
I'm asking the right
Yeah, now you're asking the right question.
Right. Who owns
So there's a world of difference between the United States and the word United States of America.
Oh, really?
United States of America is a republic. It's based on the bringing together of 48 separate countries. Each state in this union is a separate country.
Okay.
And so you're crossing over from California to Nevada is like crossing over from France to Spain.
Right.
And so you can't do things in Nevada you can do in California. So you can't do things in New York that you can do in Florida.
The United States is the recognition of separate countries, but the United States of America means...
Those are United States. So, but each one's a state, like the state of Virginia is like the state of Israel.
Right.
It's a country. It's referred to as a state.
And
as a matter of fact, you know, there's a world of difference between. There's a world of difference in words in law. I mean, when you go to court, there's a very big difference between a trial by jury or a jury trial. Doesn't mean the same thing. There's a very big difference between California State and the state of California. Doesn't mean the same thing.
It doesn't?
No, no.
Like, what's the difference there?
Cal State is the state we call California. That's the state. But state of California is different. That has nothing to do with California. That's the federal government operating within the confines of the state of California. So anytime you see the state of, that means it's a federal corporation operating within California. But California is called Cal State. That's why you have California State University, California State this, and California State. That's California. But state of California is the federal government.
Do people know this? Do
No.
lawyers know this?
People don't know any of this. None of this. Nobody. Because it doesn't have anything to do with football. So who the hell needs to know about any of this stuff? I need to know because I don't like being played for a fool.
Yeah.
I want to know who's running this country.
You don't want to be manipulated.
I refuse to be manipulated. I want to know exactly who's doing what. I want to know how they're doing it and how are they messing with my mind and my money and my family. So I want to know. 99% of people I run into, they couldn't care less as long as the beer's cold and football's on. They don't care.
But when people vote for like a president, what is happening?
You go to the polls. What is a poll? I mean, a poll is when you take a consensus of the people. Which one of these fruitcakes do you want to bow down to and give your money to? Do you want this group ball here, or that airhead here, or this ding-a-ling over here?
Right.
We just want to know the basic concepts. Which one do you people like?
It obviously doesn't seem to matter.
They all work for me, so it doesn't matter. But to make you people happy, would you rather have a woman over here? Would you rather have a black guy? Or would you rather have this old white man? Which one would you like?
Nothing changes. You mean Obama says...
It doesn't matter, because I own them all anyway.
Right.
It's just business. Come on, this is a mob.
Well, who is the mob?
We're talking the mafia here. We're talking the underworld.
Who are these people? You know, the Illuminati,
Just business, nothing personal. Don't take this personal.
But there's someone behind it.
Oh, you bet there is.
Yeah.
But they're in Europe.
They are.
Yeah. Well, let me give you another. It just strikes me. Let me give you a quick example about the maritime law, the law of water, the law of the sea. Money is water by law. So when a ship, this is why all ships are female by law. All ships, rocket ship, sailing ship, airship, it doesn't matter. If it's a ship, it's female.
Right.
Because the captain always refers to his ship as she.
Right.
She's a good ship, or she's done this. Why she? Because she delivers the product.
Right, the
Without
vessel.
she, there is no product, right?
It's a vessel. It's a whole,
of course it is a vessel. So is your body. It's a vessel that produces a product.
Right.
So when the ship pulls into harbor, it stops, and where it parks is called its berth. It's berthing a ship, or she sits in her berth. And every item on that ship, coming out that ship, is money. It's money changing hands.
Right.
And it came in on water. So it's called. So every piece has to have what is called a certificate of manifest, because she is sitting in her berth. That's why when you were born,
I had a birth certificate.
your mother's water broke. You were inside a container of water. Her water broke, and you came out, and therefore you have to have a birth certificate.
Wow.
There, and it's got to be signed by the dock, because that's where the ship is sitting. The dock is where the ship sits.
That is funny.
So once you begin to see how the words and terms are all based on maritime admiralty, the law of water, the cash flow, the liquid asset.
But is that just in English, the dock, the water?
Yeah, of course. But of course, it goes all the way back to the English or British domination of the seas.
Oh.
And so when the British began to dominate the seas, the Knights Templar Masonic Order of the Knights Templars, who have been in the middle of Asia, came back into Western Eastern Europe, brought all of these concepts, and it was developed into a commercial system of words and terms and symbols, which are used in courts and government and corporations. You know, your body as a corporation. No, that's a whole story. We could talk for hours on this, but your body is a corporation.
Of cells, you mean?
No. It's called, and by law, your body, your physical body is a corporation. And so when you die, you're a corpse. Because when you're living, you're a corporation. You are a business. And hanging out with that person is bad business.
Right.
Or who I hang out with is none of your business.
Right.
Because your body is a business.
Wow.
And so you say, well, you know, what you're doing with her or him is bad business.
Right.
But, of course, if you're getting married and she's very wealthy, you say she's of good stock, right? Words and terms are based on maritime admiralty, the law of water. And so that's why when you go into a court, you have a fence and a gate. The people sit out here and the judge sits inside. The gate is called a floodgate. When you go through the canal, you have a floodgate.
Right.
So when you're sitting out here, you're in the law of the land. The judge has no control or no jurisdiction over the people sitting out here. No jurisdiction whatsoever.
Right, because they're outside the gate.
That's outside the gate.
Right.
That's on land.
Right.
But when you walk past that gate, now you're in hot water. And someone's going to have to bail you out.
Bail, yeah.
Okay.
Bail. Did you write a book about all these maritime?
No, I've just been studying it for 48 years.
Wow.
But it's fascinating because when you understand that the whole subject is so large, and it would take hours and I'd have to go back to square one and walk through all the words and terms that are used in law and courts and in commerce. Yeah. For you to understand how pervasive this concept of water is on the earth. Wow. The law of water, maritime admiralty, it's an extraordinary story about how governments rule the world. And unless you understand this, you're never going to figure out what's going on. Look at it. When you walk into a courtroom and they call your name, you get up and you put your hand on the gate and you open the gate. The moment you put your hand on the gate, by international law, you of your own volition have opened yourself up to maritime admiralty law, because you were on the law of the land. As long as you don't touch that gate and go through it, you haven't opened the floodgate. Now, once you open the floodgate, there's a piece of wood on top of that gate, and it's called the bar, and you're not licensed to pass the bar. Right. So what you've done is you've opened the floodgate, but you weren't licensed to pass the bar.
So what does that mean?
So that means that you're dead. You are now dead. Once you touch that, you're dead.
Because you're no longer in control of
That's right. You are dead. Well, you're considered to be a dead man. That's why the attorney has to speak for you. He has to represent you.
Why are you dead? Because
you went into the deep water and you died. You drowned.
Because you weren't licensed. Because you weren't.
Right. You were not licensed to pass the bar. And the bar represents a sandbar in the ocean. But the bar is what the attorneys are licensed to pass, but you're not. So the point being is that when you open that gate of your own volition, you are considered by law to be a dead man.
Really?
That's why you cannot talk to the judge, because dead people don't talk to judges. So you need an attorney who is your mouthpiece. He speaks for you because you're dead.
Well, should we do away with courts so people can get their lives back?
No, I would think that what you want to do is understand how the system works.
Oh, and avoid it. Really.
Well, and avoid it if you can.
Whether maritime laws function in religion.
Whoa, goodness.
Everything.
The Holy See.
The Holy See.
Yeah. The seat of power is the Holy See, the sea of mankind, the holy blood. I could go into for hours on this if you want to, but I'll give you an example. Since all banking law is of course money, and money is maritime admiralty. Well, as I said, the judge sits on the bench. He rules on the bench, and the bench in Latin is a bank. Where do you find banks? You find banks on the side of a river,
right?
Called river banks. And what does a river bank do? It directs the flow of the currency, because your currency is the cash flow, the liquid asset.
Wow.
And so money goes through your hands like water. No, money is water.
That's amazing.
It's the flow. It's the ebb and flow, the tides. Money goes out, money comes in. That's why you have income taxes. There's nothing wrong with income taxes. The way the system in America is set up, there's nothing wrong with it. They print the money, but as much money as you print, you've got to take some back in to make it valuable.
The tide.
The tide. So it goes out, it's got to come back in.
Wow.
So it's not the income tax is not there because the government needs the money. No, the government finances itself through all kinds of other ways. Income tax is to pull back in the breath, like the breath of Shiva. You put it out, and they print it out. It goes out into the world. Now you have to pull it back in. To inhale, then you exhale again, and then you pull it back in, because it's the ebb and flow of commerce. It's the ebb and flow of the juice that makes it all happen. Saturn was referred to as, in the ancient world, the planet or the god Saturn was referred to as El. El, and from which we get the concept of the worship of El, or the worship of God.
The Elohim.
From Elohim.
Right.
Which, then once you are worshiping El, the concept is that you now have become an elder.
Oh.
Now, because you're an elder, how did you get to be an elder? You got elected.
Oh.
Yeah, and once you get elected, now you have become one of the elites because you've become elected to be one of the elites. How did you get to be elected? With electricity. Wow. Because it's the juice, the flow.
It all goes back to Saturn, you're saying.
All goes back to the planet Saturn.
Now, are all the religions sort of conspiring together to maintain this control?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But it's not a conscious thing. It's
no. It's just business. Like the mafia says, there's nothing personal here. It's just business. You're going to corner the market, and the Catholic Church cornered the market and was killing people who didn't buy into their system in the Middle Ages. And it's still just a business today.
But let's talk about consciousness in a sense, because it's not people. There seems like to be a force that's beyond the human realm that's manipulating.
Well, of course, when the Bible talks about the spirituality and God, and when you talk about God, I mean, that's a whole subject in itself about God as a word. God is simply dog spelled backwards.
I know.
That's why the teachings about God is called church dogma, because it goes back to the dog star in Egypt. Sirius, the dog star. The whole concept of religion, words, terms, courts, government, financing, commerce is a massive, incredible story of how words and terms and symbols have been used for thousands of years, and 99% of the people on the face of the earth have no idea in the world how this stuff really works.
Well, it's been used to manipulate and control people.
Of course.
Because we still are seafaring people, so we're still under the law of the maritime.
Of the maritime, that's right. It's just business, nothing personal.
Yeah.
But did you know that if a policeman gives you a ticket, that ticket, a cop pulls you over and gives you a ticket. That is called a ticket in commerce. And so if you go to buy something and you don't have the money and it's too expensive, You ask me to co-sign for you. Now, if I co-sign for you to buy something and I co-sign on the ticket, that means if you don't pay it, I have to, right?
Right.
Therefore, when the cop gives you a ticket, he signs it first. It's called a ticket in commerce.
Right.
Because money is going to change hands.
Right.
Therefore, when you sign it, you are the co-signer of the ticket in commerce. Well, as a co-signer, you don't have to pay the ticket. You were just a co-signer, and you can decide, I don't think I want to pay that ticket. So then you send the ticket and the paperwork to the Secretary of State, and they then give it to the Attorney General. The Attorney General then sends it back to the cop, and the cop has to pay the ticket because he's the one that signed it first. You were just a co-signer. But as long as you don't understand this, people don't understand the way banks and commerce works.
And government.
And religion. And
taxes. So it's all together. Religion, government, corporation.
It's all one big show. And if you're not licensed to play in the show, like George Carlin used to say, it's a big club and you ain't in it. But once you understand how the club really works, what the words mean.
Right.
I mean, I'll give you another example. When you buy a new car, what do you get with the new car? In the glove compartment, you get something called the operator's manual. Right. Because when you're in a car, you are referred to as an operator of a motorized vehicle.
Right.
You're an operator of a car. But if with those wheels, I don't care if it's a tank or bicycle or motorcycle or car, it doesn't matter. If you're using those wheels to make money, now it's business. Now you're not an operator. By law, in corporate law, you are now referred to as a driver. That's why you have a bus driver, a cab driver, a truck driver. Not a cab operator.
So what's the difference?
There's a world of difference because as a driver, you're now in business. You're making money with those wheels. You're not using it for personal use. You're now a driver. So now in business, you've got to have a license. It's called a driver's license because you are now in maritime admiralty law making money. So you have to have a driver's license.
Wow.
More than funds for insurance companies. Insurance companies are the major stockholders of our banks. Yeah, and so that's why in America you have to have insurance on your car and you have to buckle up when you're driving. It's because the insurance companies, and the reason why you have to have insurance on your car and you have to buckle up when driving, probably have to do that now in Europe for the same reason, but the reason why you're doing it in America is because Americans think, well, the government wants to protect us so we don't get hurt. Well, that's true. But why? They don't mind killing people all over the world in wars, hundreds of thousands of innocent women and children being murdered in wars all over the world, so they don't really care about human life. But why are they asking you to buckle up and be safe? It's because your body, your physical body, is a security on the New York Stock Exchange. They own your body. It's called maritime admiralty law, the law of the sea, or the law of water. And since you are 90% water, whatever it is, you are mostly water. So they refer to human beings as maritime admiralty products. You are what is referred to as a human resource. You're not a man or a woman. Incidentally, if you go back and look at the correct English, there are books out about the English language and the correct use of English language in law and government. And if you look at the books on law and government and the English language, you will find that a man or a woman is referred to in law as feminine and masculine, but an animal in law as a male or female. This is why on all of your information, your ID, all your driver's license or whatever, it's always, are you male or female, not masculine or feminine. Masculine or feminine is for man and woman, but male or female is for a human being. A human being is, by law, in a court, a human being is not considered to be a man or woman. It is considered by law to be a maritime admiralty product, and that product is on the New York Stock Exchange. So your birth certificate, which represents your flesh and blood body, is a security on the New York Stock Exchange. You are nothing more than a human resource. You are an animal, a male or female animal that's being bought and sold. by the corporation called United States Privately Owned Company. So once you understand how, and most people cannot relate to my words, they have no idea what I'm talking about. It's so foreign. But I do what I do to help those people, that small select handful that will be hearing me, who actually have a brain and who are actually used to actually thinking and reading and studying and researching. That's who I am appealing to. Just that small, minute handful who want to know the real truth about how the world really works. Because once you understand how this tune is played, we call government, commerce, international operation of government, education, military, it's all business, just like the mafia says. I don't have anything against the mafia at all. But I love that one saying that they have, is very famous. The mob will tell you when they get ready to kill you, this is nothing personal. You know, like in the movie Godfather 1, when Michael and the Godfather, they're all sitting around with the attorney in the front room. And the attorney says, Michael, this is not personal, Michael. It's business. It has nothing to do with personal. So the killing of people around the world is nothing personal. It's just business. It's commerce. We're doing business. And sometimes, we ask a country if they will do something, and they will sell us this or do this or not for us, and they say no. Well, that's okay. We'll just send in the Marines and whip your ass, and then we'll take it.
And again, looking at the symbolism, if you look at the flag again that's sewn under the military uniforms, all of them always have the maritime fringe on the gold fringe around, and they're backwards.
Yeah, they're always backwards. Most people don't notice that. They're backwards.
I mean, I understand what upside down means.
That's right. Upside down means something
distress.
That's right.
But to put it backwards and then to indicate that it's maritime law. I mean, what have you got to do with maritime if you're the Army?
That's right. Well, actually, the Army is a branch of what is called internal security. General Motors, Ford Motor Company, Sears. All big corporations in the world have something called internal or in-house security. In-house security means that big corporations have their own little police department. And so if they catch you stealing something or doing something, they will apprehend you right there right there in the factory, right there in the store. They have their own security. Now they can't put you in jail, but they can hold you and then call the authorities and turn you over to the authorities. But the point being is that they have the right and the authority to arrest you with the in-house security. That's their property. That's their corporation. They own the property, and you have done something, stole something, or broke something, or whatever. They have the right by law to arrest you and hold you for prosecution and give you to the authorities. So it's called in-house security. So the United States Army, the Navy, the Marines is what we call in-house security for the corporation called United States, which is a privately owned company. So if you're in the Army or in the military in America, you're not working for the American Republic to protect America. You're working for a privately owned corporation. Wake up, get a life. That's why all over the world, our military or the military of the United States think that they are out there to protect America, and they're supposedly out there to protect the Republic. In what way is American military today, in any way, shape, or form, protecting the great Republic of the United States of America? In what way are they protecting us? They're out all over the world doing whatever it is they're doing in all the countries of the earth, and the few that are here are now on the streets with guns to make sure we are in compliance to the masters of our country, to the communist or Nazi SS Gestapo masters who own America. Our people are now being herded around like animals by the military, who are nothing more than in-house security for a private corporation. I think the whole world situation is just incredible. I don't have any words for it. The only reason I'm telling you all of this is because I'm 70 years old and I'm not going to be here much longer. And I just feel it's an idea whose time has come to tell the people what's really going on. You've been had. The whole world's been had, because there is no freedom, liberty, or justice anywhere. In America, you know, it's a favorite saying in America, the judges will tell you there is no justice, there's just us. And